And one day this uncle was walking down a path and he found this egg. Yeah, and the egg was a bit bigger than the eggs that the uncle usually, take care of. And when the uncle took the egg, he take it back to his farm and he took that egg and he put it with all of his chickens because he's a farmer and that's what any farmer would have done, right? And he took this egg and he put it with his chickens and eventually the egg hatched. And to his great surprise, it was an eagle's egg. Yeah. And this eagle, he grew up with all of the chickens and he did every single thing that the chickens did. He'll fly a few feet into the sky and he'll land back on the ground. He'll poke around in the dirt and he'll go looking for worms. And he did every single thing the chicken did, which was quite amazing. This was like a science project, eagle behavior therapy of some sort. And one day, this eagle was gazing in the sky and he saw this bird majestically soaring across the cloud. And the eagle turned to a chicken and he's like, "What's that?" And the chicken nearby was like, "No, that's an eagle. He's the king of the sky. Don't you worry, be like him." And that eagle, he lived and died a chicken because that's what he thought he was. Yeah. It's very interesting. This eagle story is one of my most inspiring stories to share. And many times, some of our lives are like eagles. Yeah, we do everything that everybody else do. Like 80% of person who joined the gym this year eventually, give up by now. 80%. So if you're still going to the gym, you're in the 20% group. And the problem is not that we don't have goals and we're not motivated. But the problem is we set some of our goals so small and we hit, then there's nothing else, okay? And I've always tell my students and my clients, setting goals are very important, but achieving them is not, yeah? With that being said, you need to set a goal so big for yourself. It should be so important to you. It should be so daunting and exciting, so that when you do achieve that goal, the person who you'll become would be as great as an eagle.
Hi there, Adrian here, and this is a video from a Zoom session that we do. We do these Zoom sessions every Sunday and we take questions and answers from the audience, some of our students, some of our members. We never know what questions are coming up, so I'm always excited to do these sessions and I hope to see you at one of them. Make sure you hit the subscribe button below and check out the other playlists that we have. Thank you. Enjoy.
I'll go ahead and introduce myself. My name is Deano and I'm a NLP and high performance coach. And today joining me would be two other extraordinary coaches, which will be Darko and Adrian Cahill, who is the mastermind behind these wonderful discussions. And throughout this night, we are gonna set you up for a win for the rest of the year. Yeah, today is more of a check-in session based on the session that we had earlier during the year. And I know some of you joined the session, and maybe some of you didn't. But whatever, whoever you are, wherever you are, you're gonna be leaving with something valuable. Now, tonight is gonna be a very interesting night, as we are here celebrating another new year, which is, it's quite a gift, isn't it? We have a very interesting activity that I have for you guys, yeah? And I want you guys to take the model of an eagle when you play this activity together. I'm gonna be putting you into breakout rooms and you're gonna be using your brain to brainstorm and come up with some very interesting things. Yeah, let me just get this up for you. So that way I want to make sure that everybody know the rules of this game. Yeah, and this is a very interesting icebreaker. And I want you to imagine that you have just won the lottery. Yeah, and you have $1 million. You won the lottery, you have $1 million, and you can do anything in the world you want to do with it. So I'm going to be placing you in a breakout room with 2 to 3 people, and you're going to come up with a list of things that you would do with the money. As many as you can, and you only have 5 minutes. So time is not your friend. So I want you guys, as you hit the breakout room, You start coming up with as much ideas as possible. You don't even need to know the name of the other individuals who you're in the room with. Okay, and that's the name of the game. You have won the lottery, you have $100 million US dollars, and you want to come up with as much things that you'll do with this money. Yeah. So that's the first part of the game. And when you come back out of the breakout room, I'll explain the other half. Okay. So the sky is the limit. Don't limit yourself. As much things as you can. If you have a notepad, it will be even better. I'm here dying to know what some of you came up with, but what we'll need to do, we'll have to leave that until the end of tonight's session. But what I'll propose to you and leave on the table, okay? I want you to look at all the things that you came up with. Yeah, look at all the things that you've written, all the things that you've discussed. And I want to propose this question. What is really stopping you from going after those now?
It seems goals are a very huge topic which supports our life. So usually the environment, the whole world talks about setting goals, New Year resolution. But how many of you have set up goals and do not achieve? Yeah, so it happens all the time. It happens. We are setting goals, especially for New Year, and then we have a little motivation going to the goals, and then think, okay, it's not for me, and it's not something I like it, or maybe you will change the mind. And here in the process comes NLP. So there is a lot of theories about how to set goals. Something like SMART goals need to be specific, goals needs to be like this or that, different things. But I will talk in a different way. So NLP focuses is good to have the goals, but more important for the goal when we are setting a goal is the goal to be aligned with our personality and what we want to achieve. Here I will share an example for myself. So I can say that as a personality, I'm very supportive, and I want to help people to achieve, to set goals and then support them during the process or in different areas of the life. And if I choose goal which is connected with personal development, it is more likely that I will go and achieve to the goal because it is aligned with myself. And it is more likely that I will achieve a goal. But what will happen if, let's say, I'm addicted to some other thing and say, I will set a goal and this year I will invest money on the market. It is not aligned with myself because I'm not that kind of person. So yeah, at that point, it comes things. I have negative feelings. I will start procrastinating. I know that I need to research the market, but it is not my intention, not my passion. So it is a big possibility that I will not achieve that goal because it is not aligned with myself, and big possibility that I will not took time to learn more about that. And these are the things. Not achieving a goal, okay, I'm not achieving a goal, but I will start thinking about myself. I'm not good. I cannot achieve the goal. I'm procrastinator, so I will start discourage myself, and I will suppress my personality, have negative feeling, and from one goal selection, it comes to anxiety, depression, negative feelings, beating myself. And what is the purpose of that? So yes, goals are very important, and we need to be much clever how we are going to choose the goal. Other thing which is important, dimensions which are important for goals are our past experience, our present experience, and our future experience. So I would like to focus more in this part, which is my part, on the past, how our past influence on setting the goals. I want to start with a few presuppositions of NLP. We are teaching, or all we are is change. So we are changing every moment. It is a theory says that we are changing, our personality is changing, part of personality, and then the other part follows after every experience. So that means after, let's say, after this talking, I will have one topic more discussion that will influence on myself. My talking can influence on your thinking somehow. Maybe you will make some further decisions. So that is why I know that after every experience, we are changing the personality in some way. And how our past influence on goal. We are in the process of setting up the goal. And we need to set time for planning. We are sitting, we are trying to make a goals. Usually the process of making a goals is connected. We are taking our past experience. And it may happen, usually when working with that, it happen. I have tried this, I have tried something, let's say 2 years ago, but I did not achieve this goal, and that's why I will not going to try to again with the same goal. And it is if we take this presupposition that we are changing all the time, we can I can advise, yes, you set this goal 2 years ago, but it was a different type of personality. You were maybe you have not the same support, maybe you do not have the same knowledge, and it doesn't mean that now I will not be able to set the same goal. That's how the past we are trying to usually as a people, it is natural process. We are using the past as the past is, and we are not seeing what is that we are totally changed up to now. I can remember myself a few years ago. I was a totally different area of business. I was trying and do not achieving, and I was beating myself a lot. And then I got an NLP training, and I was not aware that I will talk, that I will share my experience, that will someone who is going to work with people, helping and supporting them during their process. So at that, and it was obvious at that time that I cannot do it, because at that time I have engineer background. So what I was doing, seeing the problem, make few things regarding engineering, and going to the programs and solve the problem. And it is obvious that I cannot do this. But when I made decision that I will support and help people, I do what I need to do to learn the whole philosophy. And a few years after, it was last year, when I was making a goals, I said I will start doing this Sunday session. It was and that's how it goes. But now it is totally different. Previously, I do not have that experience, and now I have more experience and more knowledge about how personality works, how NLP helps people, and that's how I had more inner support that can give me push me into my goal. Yes, and what in the natural. We need to look at the goals very carefully and not to allow our okay.
Darko, man, I want to back you up like 200% there. I remember I set some big goals for myself, you know, and I had some. I was really committed to the goals I had set. I was really committed to the goals I set, but at that time I did it. I didn't have the means to create the results I wanted, and I ended up beating myself up. I ended up beating myself up because I didn't achieve those goals. And in the process of beating myself up, the following years, you know, I didn't really, you know, I had to deal with the fact that I didn't achieve those goals and the fact that I was beating myself up. So setting those bad goals actually really, you know, screwed me up for a bit. So I really relate to what you're saying. And when we're looking at goals in the future, how do we deal with our past stuff when we're dealing with goals? Do you just forget about the past, or?
No, we need to be aware that the past was one situation. Now it is another situation, and we can consider that it is a. I will again go to NLP presupposition. There is not failure, only feedback. So in the past, I tried and I didn't get, and I defined myself as a failure. But I'm not a failure. I get a feedback. It was not as I expected, but I get feedback. So I need to reconcile that feedback and then to set a new goal. I want to just to share more about how the past could negatively influence. Let's say that when I'm working, it is frequently showing up in the sessions with the clients. So let's say in the past, they have tried something, not achieved, try something, not achieved. And in the present, they are going back and think, oh, I cannot achieve this. I cannot achieve this. And they can set a goal, but the goal is not it is lower on lower scale than they can achieve much more, but they're saying lower. And what is happening? I'm doing one thing, I'm reaching a goal. Doing another thing, reaching a goal. But the goal I'm reaching is small. And it seems I'm doing everything. I'm reaching up the goal, but I do not feel satisfaction. I do not have the emotional state of achieve. Yes, I have achieved. And that is something again, which is the motivating person develops on negative self-judgment, negative self-esteem, negative self-confidence, which is again going us into a negative state. And the goal, what is the goal when we are of this discussion or of everything? What we are doing, the goal is to working on our positive emotional state and feeling that achievement.
I really like that, Darko. I like what you said. There's this going back to the whole idea for lottery. You know, majority of people who won the lottery end up losing the money. So this great speaker once said, if you ever become a millionaire overnight, you better learn how to be a millionaire today, because you lose all of the money. Yeah. And as Darko said, that your goal would change as you change. And sometimes we can set goals for work. We can set personal goals. And we're achieving goals every day. And we don't really notice the shift or the motivation that is driving us towards that goal. But as I said initially, sometimes it's so good. It's better to set these big goals, but we got to have these small milestones that keep us motivated and going towards these goals. Because if we set small goals and we achieve them, sometimes we feel like, okay, so what? I don't really got to do much. And if we set goals that are really too big, that is so far out of our reach, we feel demotivated. So why is it so important to set in goals? Because what's most important is not really the goal, but who are you becoming moving towards those goals? And if you're not in love or really excited about the person who you're creating, achieving those goals, you're going to be demotivated. It's not going to be worthwhile going after such goals. You're not going to be loving yourself. You're going to feel stressed. You're going to feel depressed, and you're going to be working with all those emotions that you're taking out on your family, your friends, your boss, or whoever. Yeah. So I just want to throw that in the pot, just jumping off from Darko's discussion. And going back to the eagle analogy as well, even the eagle had an optimistic dream of his goals. Yeah, and we speak about your environment and that vibration, but sadly the eagle was living with chickens, and the eagle aimed for goals that the chickens had. He only fly a few feet into the sky, and he land a few feet back into the ground. And one day he saw an eagle just like himself, flying sky high, but he didn't even have that vibration to rise to that occasion as well. Yeah, keep your eye on the prize. One, accountability. Two, okay, very important, and taking action towards those goals. But these are very easier said than done, yes? Yeah, it's easily said than done. Okay, so if I had to propose a question, and I'll just open the floor to everybody. Yeah, what is one thing that you personally can start doing differently that would ensure 100% certainty of you achieving any goal that you set for yourself? Like I know Annabelle spoke about, having the vision board and keeping that close to yourself. I love to hear what other persons are thinking. Harry said, the circle, who you're wrong, and the vibration, which is wonderful.
I have postage notes as well, stuck next to my coffee maker machine first thing in the morning, and I read them all. I've got a 2-year goal, and then everything down to a monthly goal to a yearly goal.
Wonderful, wonderful.
Great approach.
Any other feedback or suggestion from you guys? Who else would like to contribute to that? Go ahead, Annabelle.
Yeah, I think I would like to share as well, like my experience, since my goal has started 2020 and only few of them I've reached. I think I have to stop procrastination. I think I have to help myself eliminating procrastination, because I'm so guilty of that, with so many factors affecting. Making excuses.
That's a big one. How can you, what is one thing you can start doing that would guarantee that you achieve your goal, whether or not there's procrastination or not?
So I think what I haven't done before is to invest and do a passive income, like something that is earning while I'm sleeping, because I got only 24 hours and it can only yield the same amount, 24 hours. But if I do investment, that can be growing and increasingly while I'm sleeping, and that's incredible. I think it's making me more shorter towards my goal.
Wonderful. And if I had to ask you this powerful question, like, how would that make you feel? Having a passive income flow where you're making money 24 hours, where you don't need to sleep, you don't need to work, you can sleep and make money. How would that make you feel?
Inspired and more motivated more.
Wonderful.
Yeah. And my optimism is going to increase more.
Yeah. And say that feeling of inspiration, where in your body do you feel that?
All over my body, all over me. And I actually it releases into my, to my kids and to my husband. Now it goes and spread. It's very contagious, actually. So it's very important that you feel inspired and optimistic, because person sitting beside you will be will be infected. That's a good infected thing. That's a good infectious this, rather than COVID-19. I think, to pass on to the next person, being optimistic and inspired.
Wonderful. And I want you to feel that inspiration all over your body now. Just feel it all over your body. Yeah, I know how I know you know how that feels.
Yeah, now I'm sweating and I'm more excited.
Yeah.
And
And
more, I feel like more responsible sharing with all of you, because before it was only with my family members, and now I'm sharing to all of you. So now I'm taking the responsibility, and maybe next year I'm going to show the same board and all of them are achieved.
yeah. And when you look at your passive income goal with that feeling of optimism and excitement, how does that make it different?
It fuels and it energizes me more to, since this is going to be my first thing, I mean first time to enter into this kind of thing, then it makes me more excited and fueled to dig deeper and learn some more in order to win this game, because it's my first time. So something new, and it makes me more excited.
That's amazing. That's amazing. And I like for each of you to also identify what's your fuel. What's that emotion that is driving you? Where is it coming from? Is it your family? Where in your body are you feeling it? And as you feel that energy building up, it can be in your chest, in your head, all over your body. I want you to look at your goals and see how that makes it different. Because if that energy is not sustained, yeah, you'll be defeated. Yes, that's what's up. That's what's up. Okay, I'll just leave the floor for Adrian. I know he has something he'd love to share with you, and I'll give him this time.
When I go to work with people, and especially if I'm creating partnerships with people, if I'm creating partnerships with people, I want them to have a vision for themselves and where they're going. I could employ someone who doesn't have a vision, like an IE or a cleaner. My IE and cleaner doesn't need to have a vision. But if I'm going to have a partner, be it a friendship partner, an intimate partner, or some kind of business partner, I want one that has a vision. And we know if we surround ourselves with people that have a vision, it's going to go up. So the question before from David was about alignment. What do you mean by alignment? There is one particular study who spoke about multiple brains or multiple brain technology, or M-braining. These guys were master NLP trainers. So their depth in NLP was maybe another 5+ years on mine. And these guys got together, two of them, and they studied some old books from the East and from the West. They took some neuroscience and also looked at things like Christianity and the chakra system. And basically they came up with this theory about having multiple brains. Has anyone heard about the triune brain? Okay, a couple people. Triune brain is talking about how up around the top of the spine, we have the most primitive brain, which is like the fight and flight response and basic kind of human instincts. And around that, we have like you can kind of see it like the spine. And then we have the mammalian brain, which is emotional brain, or mammalian brain. And then on the outside, we have like the neocortex. And we kind of have these three brains in three different levels. So the reptilian brain could also be seen as our stomach. And some of your goals, and for some of your vision, you might want to get hungry. Like hungry for your goals. And when you're hungry, you take action. So your stomach area, or the primitive brain, is where the action comes from, the motivation comes from. If you have gut problems or don't have a consistent regular diet, it's hard to have consistent motivation. So you'll find a lot of high performers will have very regular diet. Yeah. Now I know Deano does, but Ben here has a phenomenal diet as well. He sticks to his diet with strict regime, and he's always in a high level of activity. He knows what he's doing meal-wise, and because every morning he's having the same thing, it's easy for him to be consistent in taking action. So are you consistent in your morning routines? Okay. So with this primitive brain comes our initial motivation. And just up from that, we have our heart region, or the mammalian brain, which is where we have our emotion. Do you have a passion for your goals? Do you have passion for what you're doing? You can get motivation to do stuff, but if you don't have the passion, it won't be sustainable. And this is what we mean by alignment. We got to get our motivation, our passions, emotions, values, and head or neocortex all aligned. So some people like Simon Sinek talks about the triune brain, 1, 2, 3. And some people will talk about head, heart, gut. Some people might even talk about the chakra system. It all fits together. They're all talking about the same thing, but they're using different language patterns. Some use neuroscience, some use traditional Chinese science, some use ancient Indian science. Some might even use, I don't know, South American science, because in South America, they also have the chakra system, but different names. You know, and TCM, they call it the meridians. So alignment, we want to get all these centers, you know, if you want to go all the way, like a higher spirit or, you know, a chakra that's up here, we want to get all of this aligned. And sometimes our emotion may be over on one side more, perhaps a yin side more, or maybe a yang side more. Maybe a more active side or a more relaxed side. And what do they say in Buddhism? The middle path. So we're looking to create a middle path where we can be motivated without having to do too much, where we can get our right emotions without having to do too much, and get our head without, you know, maybe being too much left or too much right. That's what we call alignment. And if we have more and more alignment, more and more regular motivation, more regular consistent emotions, more regular cognitive, left, right, whole brain thinking, whatever we want to create in life would be easier, right? It would be easier. And it is phenomenal how many people may be out there pursuing some cognitive goal, perhaps making $1 million or millions of dollars, but they don't have this in check or this in check. Now, I'd like to give you a little bit of a system. Which do you think could be a great order? Figuring out $1 million goal and working backwards, or working maybe from the bottom up? Harry.
You work to your $1 million goal and you can see it, but you've got to believe it. And then you start working from the bottom upwards. So you see it, believe it, smell it, eat it, taste it, and start at the beginning. Hear it.
Wonderful, thank you. Somebody like to share something different? Do you start with the top cognitive goal, or do you start somewhere down below, like with feelings and emotion or motivation and stuff? There's no right or wrong here. For some people, they might like to have that vision first and then try to figure out how to do it. Everybody is different. And that's one of the biggest problems. You'll see these books about how to make $1 million. I've probably read all of them. You'll see the books, but they're written by a person who has a personality who could be very different to yours. If you listen from Warren Buffett, the way Warren Buffett does it, the Warren Buffett way, is completely different to, say, the Elon Musk way. And it could be completely different to your way, or a Henry Ford way, or an Arnold Schwarzenegger way. There are many different ways to do it and many different personalities. So even if we had like a magical system, who's to say it's not different because of your personality? So I think we need individual systems, systems that work for you. Harry?
You have to first find out how yourself, I always say, ticks. So you have to go internally and find out, like, use small goals, like I used to learn the violin. I've never picked up a violin in my whole entire life, but I knew how to learn a language. So could I put that with the violin? So last year's goal was to play a piece of music with the violin, and I've never picked up a violin in my life. And when I picked it up, I never squeaked, nothing. And then as I started learning how to play the violin, I paid for a mentor, a teacher to help me, and she comes every 2 weeks. And now I can read the music at a slow pace, but now I can play the music. And I achieved that in December. So I know I need to visualize what I need to see for the small goals and then implement them. So I know I am a visual person. So yeah, you need to find out how you tick. So you use the smaller goals to find out how you can.
Thank you, Harry. Have you been looking at my notes, have you?
No, of course not. I'm in here.
Because Deano before said about having a big goal, and some people might call it like a hairy, audacious goal, but then he said about having smaller goals. And when you achieve these smaller goals, these smaller milestones, you could consider them to be smaller. But the fact is, when you hit each of these small milestones, it gives you an opportunity to celebrate. And it gets you in a wonderful mood or a wonderful state to reflect. You see, it's important to reflect on the goals we don't hit. But what about reflecting on the small goals we do hit? And then reflect and look back and go like, well, why did we hit that but not others? Discussing, learning, and sharing with others. So Annabelle has a vision board. Can I see? Who else? Who's got a vision board here? Got a few up. Yeah. Wonderful. Okay, so try a vision board. Now, vision boards are more like right brain, creativity, generally right brain. Some people might have like an Excel spreadsheet or a to-do list, and they might have an Excel document. I use Excel for years, so having an Excel instead, very left brain. So take in the suggestions, maybe take in some left and do some right. The favorite thing Darko and I normally talk about is some people will say use these left brain ways, and some people will say use a right brain way. So Darko and I generally say use both. Have some goals that are based on the external benefits and have goals on the internal benefits. Have goals that consider how you're going to feel and be. Do the visualization, walk through your perfect day, test and adjust and come back. I love the accountability point, and a couple of people have said about accountability. I'm just going to check out the questions there. Do you mean to have? Darko, Deano, you want to add anything?
I think that you are most definitely right on point. I just want to reemphasize the whole idea that Harrier mentioned as well. You know, you got to really see and identify how you tick. Yeah, Adrian asked a very powerful question. Where would you start? Yeah, would you start, from up here in terms of the logical way of thinking? Would you start from down below in terms of, your feeling, your passion, your emotion, and who you're becoming? Yeah, and reflection is a very powerful tool of identify what works best for you. Yeah, reflecting on the goals that you have already achieved. Why did you achieve this goal compared to that goal? Yeah, what makes you so different from maybe a Warren Buffett or a Bill Gates? Yeah, and as Adrian also reemphasized that all these books that have been written is giving you a method that have worked for maybe a specific group of people. Can you fit into that group? Maybe you do, maybe you don't. Yeah. And one of the best way to really identify these things is working with a coach or having somebody else as a mentor or somebody as an advisor to really be your shadow. Yeah.
I want to share, you mentioned accountability. So accountability is a very powerful thing. Part of my job I'm doing is accountability coach. So I know the value of accountability, but it is when I'm working with clients, I am usually following up on what he has done on his commitment, and usually maybe ask the questions to increase awareness. What went well and why? To describe about the goal, what helped me, what kind of support he has, internal or external, and it is also important to bring awareness during the process of achieving the goal. For example, to be aware about what is big time wasters during the week that has influence on your commitment to the goal. What is something that is motivating you during the process of achieving a goal? And if there is something stop on the way, some self-sabotage or some negative self-talk, then we are analyzing what is the purpose of this talk and how we can improve it. So we can instead of stopping us to, I have a term, wind in the back, to push, to give you wind in the back to go further into the goal. So accountability is very important thing. Maybe one of the thing is having a coach while you are doing to the process of achieving the goal.
Getting a coach is so underrated. Yeah, we do coaching and we do training. There is so much value in coaching. Yeah, so much value in it. And there's a variety of levels as well. So you can get some that can be like top of the line, or you can get some lower down. You can invest in coach training instead or join a community, but there's a big difference between having accountability and not having accountability. I want you to write out in your notebook, it'll be fine. What was the last couple of blocks you had? What were the last blocks you had? Like you wanted to set out to do something, but you didn't do it. You wanted to go exercise more, but you didn't do it. Or maybe you were going to do something, some kind of plan, but you didn't do it. Why didn't you do it? Be honest, be real. Did you sabotage? Procrastinate? Did you not have something that you needed to have, like the runners or the membership? We just want to think about maybe 2 or 3. Or maybe one of your, one of the goals you had for the last years. Did you make up some excuses? Did you put it in the too hard basket? Did you not give it the time? Was the goal too big? Or do you think the goal might have been, too far out? Or perhaps you didn't have the energy to do it? Thanks very much, Nan and Petra, for sharing your answers in the group. Thank you. And Annabelle, thank you. Thanks, David. Okay, if you wrote them in the Zoom window, make sure you copy them for yourself, okay? Now, I want you to think about the environment around you. And as Harry mentioned, the environment around you having people. If you have people around you that don't support, right? So the people around you make part of your environment. Your home makes part of your environment, post-it notes, having goals, having visions, having supporting partners. Is there something you can do in your environment, the people around you, the rooms you work in, where you work, places you go? Are there any changes you can make in your environment to get over those blocks to make sure they don't happen again?
Hannah has interesting question. If I could achieve a goal, I feel. Oh, sorry. It was answer to my question.
So what can you change in your environment to make sure you get over the blocks and to help you move forward faster? Sometimes, by the way, sometimes it costs money to do that. Sometimes hiring a coach costs money, doing a course costs money. A year and a half ago, I rented a co-working space and I rented a desk. And I was after renting the desk, I'm like, no, I got to get a private room, and I got a big office for myself. And it was a bit of money, but, having that office, man, I could do so much more. And doing so much more made up for it. Yeah, IE in China, pretty easy. I have an IE in Australia. Cleaner the comms. Cost money. But by having her take care of that environment, I don't have to. Some people struggle to do designing or accountability, but you can outsource a lot of that. And sometimes the outsourcing comes at a cost. But a little bit of time, we get our money back. So everyone written down a couple of things for improving your environment? Now, Deano said to keep your eye on the prize. How can you train yourself to do more of that? As you walk down the street, as you go to the supermarket, as you go out to networking, some people will go there and their eye is on the prize. Some people will go to the very same spots and they will see all the problems. Yeah. My friend and I don't wear masks. Yeah, we don't wear masks. We went to the supermarket. We're the only people out of like 30, maybe 40 people. We're walking around without masks on. I don't even notice the other people. Yeah, and if I do, I smile and say, hello, how you doing? But my friend notices the other people. Starts to feel uncomfortable. So I've trained myself to keep my eyes on the prize. How can you train yourself better? How can you train yourself to stay focused on your goals, on your dreams, on the life that you deserve? Yeah, with NLP, we can do that 100%. But you might be able to do it with some meditation. There might be some other ways. How can you do it? How can you train yourself to keep your eye on your prize? Okay, so I hope you got a note there. Another thing to do is, has anyone heard of, I think I may have said before, shadow. Anyone heard of shadow work?
Yeah.
Right. Shadow work is just a terminology. The word shadow varies. There are some books on shadows. There's a phenomenal course. One of my gurus about shadows, Debbie Ford shadows, Teal Swan shadows, a whole pile of shadow work. Shadows are generally perhaps like a deep aspect of ourselves, but we often don't see it in ourselves. We project it to the outside world. So say part of me doesn't feel confident, and I might project that out on other people. Yeah, or I'm a bit bogan. Bogan is like redneck. I'm a bit like an Australian redneck bogan, but I didn't see it. I denied it. And I used to see it in others. And I would see all these rednecks, and I'd be like, redneck, redneck, redneck. And my friend one day said, Adrian, you say the word redneck a lot. That was it. That's all she said. That's all she said. And I switched on. Ding. What's she trying to tell me? Then I realized that's what it was. It was a shadow. I was seeing redneck in others, but it was redneck in me. I had to reclaim my redneck and realize that I'm a bit of a redneck or a bit of a bogan. And when I actually brought that in, it actually released energy. When we reclaim our shadows and work on ourselves, we actually do a couple of things. We reduce reactivity. We reduce confidence issues. We reduce things like sabotage and procrastination. And as we reduce all those things, we become more and more efficient because we have all this new energy. It's like having the shadows, and seeing it in the those people out there, or blaming others. Blaming others is a sign of it. It takes work and it takes energy. So it's kind of like holding beach balls underwater. You know what it's like when you're in a swimming pool and you're having a great time with your friends, and you're like, you're really having a good time with your friends, and then you're holding a ball under the water and you're like trying to hold the ball under. That's what shadow work is like. We all do it. Only thing is, sometimes we forget we do it. But our muscles don't forget. Our muscles don't forget. We've got muscle memory. So our body locks in all these shadow, all this stuff we suppress. Yeah, it takes a toll on our body. But when we release and let it go, and this bubble comes up and it says, Adrian, you're a redneck. and you can laugh at it. Or it comes up and it's like insecure. And you can be like, oh yeah, there's a part of me that feels insecure, and you give yourself a big hug. We get so much more energy. We actually get all this new energy we can use towards keeping our eye and getting our prize. Okay, Ms. Harry. Oh, and then Annabelle had a question. Harry.
I was just gonna say I went out with this lass, and she was going out with two other people at the same time, and she says, "Oh, we can just be friends now." And I went, "Oh, that's not a problem." She says, "Are you okay with it?" I says, "Yeah, I'm okay with it, but my ego is saying otherwise." "Oh, that hurts. I've been rejected. That's horrible." "What do you mean?" I says, "Well, this is what my ego is saying, but I'm okay with it." And they went, "So are you okay with it?" I says, "I'm accepting to be okay with it now, yes, but my ego, I had to overcome my ego. Go, you've been rejected. What the hell? And why are you letting this happen? This is okay. I'm quite happy with it. It was not right for me." And I overcome my ego by sharing it with the person that said, she said then, "Okay, that's cool. but I don't understand. And I had to explain to her that I felt rejected and it was in my stomach, but then I am okay with it. So I overcome my ego in that situation.
And maybe later you can sit with your ego, and maybe later you can do it and have that little bit of separation, because you guys have an ego and I have an ego. The ego is not the enemy. You have an ego, but you are not your ego. You have a brain, but you are not that brain. Yeah, you have a heart, but you are not that heart. We are so much more than that, aren't we? So much more. All of that and more. Okay, so with that, what are you going to do, or how can you reduce some of the shadows, reduce your reactivity, or have that separation so that you can recognize that, you know, maybe I'm not happy, or maybe my ego or my inner child. Darko studied this one thing. Was it timeline analysis? The time analysis?
Timeline therapy.
Yeah. Or transactional analysis. In transactional analysis.
Yes, it is different. I was asking, I thought you were asking
parent
about
child.
Yes.
Yeah, and you might say, you know, the child in me is feeling, but the adult in me needs to look after the child. Or the adult in me needs to look after the child. Yeah, it's incredibly useful sometimes to separate. And sometimes it's incredibly powerful to come together. That's a big thing that we do with our NLP, is a lot of the times we separate. And we might deal with the part. We might deal with the ego part. Deal with it and then bring it back in. And you know, the best person to love you is you. So sometimes we need to give love to the ego part, or give love to our heart, give love to our stomach. Okay, can I get everyone, group hug, everyone hug, hug, hug. That's Julieta, yeah. Golden seed, I can't see you hugging. All right. Whew, that felt nice. By the way, if anyone does anything like Qigong or yoga, the Qigong and yoga obviously is really good for letting go of the old stuff. Qigong, yoga, meditation, healthier diet. Okay, so with the NLP or all kinds of different therapies, we do work to reduce shadow, reduce reactivity. I say NLP a lot just because it's the fastest way. And if anyone read books like Bruce Lipton or the neuroscience books, they say in a lot of them, NLP is the fastest way. And I'm a massive fan of meditating. And when I found it really hard to meditate, there was a couple of reframes, and those reframes enabled me to meditate much more effectively and quickly. One of the big things we do with NLP is reducing the shadows, reducing reactivity, and reducing those kind of negative things. But for the coaches in here, because there's a few of us, after we reduce the negative things, and I think it's more important we do the reducing first, but some people can work on the strengthening first, and you could do the strengthening first if it's your preference. We want to build up our anchors around confidence, build up our anchors around self-love. And building up our self-love, building up our positive anchors, you could do that first to help get rid of those negative things. Either way, got to do both. Clean up the past and strengthen the positive resources. Once we clean up the past, once we reduce the shadows, once we reduce reactivity, we're going to be in a lot better position to get our goals. Imagine you're getting alignment, and then there's something that throws you out. Well, you're out of alignment. You got to get back in. Yeah. So every time something throws you out, you got to get back in. So clean up all the shadows, and then you're going to be so much more efficient. Now, let's say I started this Motivate community almost a decade ago. Who do you think I want to partner with? Who do you think I want to partner with? Someone who's constantly trying to get back into alignment, or someone who's constantly in alignment? Well, we're all going to fall out of alignment, but I prefer to partner with people in alignment because they're going to be able to produce the results. If they're in alignment and they are like a graphic designer, might be able to use them to do graphic design. If they're in alignment and they're a trainer, we might be able to use them for training. But if they're constantly, if they're constantly falling over, they can't produce the goods. There are tons of coaches and trainers in the Shanghai community, also in the Australian community. They're still working out a lot of their own stuff. So that a lot of them, they're falling over still. And some of them, because they're falling over, they're not able to produce the goods consistently. If you're going to start a business, you want to have partnerships with people that can be consistent. Yeah? You might want to have a graphic person, but you're going to want them to be consistent. You might have a salesperson, you want them to be consistent. Yeah? You want them to be working in their passion so they get excited. So partnerships and making the bigger, you got to have all your stuff aligned and work with other people that are aligned so you can go and get it. Now, the last thing I like to do is, if you are fully aligned and if you are moving towards that $1 million goal, that ultimate health, emotional freedom, intellectual freedom, the ability to master your emotions, the ability to master your mind, your thinking, the ability to master and have the flexibility and freedom with your lifestyle. How would it feel? How would it feel and Deano, you said something like this before, and I was thinking, what precisely did you have them feeling? If you are completely moving towards your goals and every morning you wake up and you're going towards your goals, how will you feel? When you jump out of bed, how do you do it? Will you use your left leg, your right leg, or both legs? When you wake up in the morning and you're getting out of bed, knowing that you're living on your purpose, on your terms, working in your passion, creating the life and future you want for the people you care about. What does your bed feel like? What does your room feel like? What do your feet feel like? What do your arms feel like? And how does your heart feel? Do you breathe fast? Do you breathe slow? Do you breathe with gratitude and grace? I'm going to leave right here, Mr. Deano, Darko. So
that's
everybody.
Okay.
That's all for me tonight. You guys have a wonderful night. Thank you for showing up and playing.
Thank you, and don't forget to set up goals.
Yes,
Yeah,
and
good goals.
yes, that's right.
above,
Good night, guys.
not below.
Good night. Thank you, Deano.
Good night. Thank you very much.
My pleasure.
Bye.
Good night, David.
Thanks,
Thank
David. Thanks, Jennifer. Thanks, Peter. Good to see you,
Good night,
Sebastian.
Jennifer.
Boom! You made it here! Good on you. Make sure you click the subscribe button below and check out the playlist at the end. If you'd like to come along to our Sunday sessions where we host a live, free Q&A for our students and members, you're welcome. I'll see you there.